Today we are going to discuss the pain modulation theory. In the previous class we have discussed the pain and the temperature pathway. We have already got the concept of that pathway, pain pathway. Okay, but that knowledge, the concept of the pathway, it has also got importance with the along with the pain modulation theory. Okay, that means once the pathway, pain pathway is ascending upwards, but there are certain other system which are attached with them, which tries, that means inside our body there is an endogenous structures, okay, endogenous pathway which tries to elevate the pain sensation in the natural pattern, natural way. Okay, so there are two systems present inside our body which is related with the pain modulation theory. Okay, and the first thing, whether both the theories whether they act outside the central nervous system or they are acting inside the central nervous system. Both the theories, first is the gate control theory. Gate control theory. Okay, and the second one is descending analgesic system. Okay, so both the components of the pain modulation pathway, the gate control theory as well as the descending analgesic system, both acts inside the central nervous system, not outside the central nervous system. This is a very key point in this pain modulation pathway. Okay, suppose there are, in the previous class we have already discussed the types of pain. It was two types. Here it is A delta fiber, and we already know what does the A delta fiber carries. It carries the fast pain. Okay, the another one was C fibers. Okay, and C fibers carries what? Slow pain. That means there are two varieties of pain, fast pain as well as the slow pain. We have already discussed these things. So here in this pain modulation theory, both the pathway will be seen, but especially it is emphasis on the slow pain pathway. It is mainly modulated by these theories. Okay, so it is very important, the slow pain fibers. Okay, now you see, when there is transmission of or the conduction of pain impulse towards the central nervous system, suppose this is the slow pain. Okay, this is the nociceptors which are stimulated or the free nerve endings. Okay, so when the nociceptors are stimulated, there is transmission of the pain impulse where? Towards the central nervous system, that means first in the spinal cord. This is the spinal cord. Okay, so this is the what? The first order neuron. Here it is the dorsal root ganglia, and this is the peripheral process, and this is the central process of this dorsal root ganglia, the first order neuron, which carries the pain sensation towards the spinal cord. Where? In the dorsal gray cord. That these things we already know. So once the pain sensation is entering inside the spinal cord, then any pathway will act, whether it is the gate control theory and whether it is the descending analgesic system. So first we will discuss this gate control theory. What does it say? Suppose I am giving you the example. When we are in pain, anywhere pain, first thing any person does, what they do? They simply rub that part, that body part, or massage it. Okay, what is the purpose of doing massaging? Suppose I am suffering from severe headache. First thing what I will do, I will massage my forehead. What? For what? For getting rid of that pain for the time being. Okay, so what is the logic behind that? How this? That means when you are rubbing or massaging the area, painful area, what are you doing? What are you trying to do? We are trying to stimulate the other receptors which other than the pain receptors. Okay, that means those receptors are touch receptors, the pressure receptors. That means while how they are stimulated by rubbing the area, painful area, or simply the massaging the area. So what are you doing? You are stimulating this touch and the pressure receptors, the vibration receptors. Okay, so how does these receptors, when they are stimulated by rubbing or massaging the painful part, how they are concerned with the pain sensation? This is the story of the gate control theory. Now you see, when the pain sensation enters in the spinal cord, where it will terminate, slow pain. This is the slow pain, where it will synapse here in the spinal cord. In the dorsal gray horn, there are laminas here. So many laminas in the dorsal gray horn, 1 to 6. But on which lamina it will terminate? It is terminating on the very specific lamina that is known as the Rechtsed lamina 2. That is the Rechtsed lamina 2. And this Rechtsed lamina contains the very smaller neurons that has got the name substantia gelatinosa. Substantia gelatinosa of Rolando. Okay. So the central process of the pain fibers, pain carrying fibers, they are terminating on the neurons, the substantia gelatinosa neurons, and then what happens? The axons arising from them, they crosses to the opposite side via the anterior gray commissure and the anterior white commissure and ascends upwards. This was the pain pathway. Okay. Now on this very point, at this very point, there must be something. The story is present here only of the gate control theory. Okay, look here. When you are massaging the area, painful area, or rubbing it, for the meanwhile, what happens? The pain sensation that you feel, it is decreased. The pain intensity of the pain will decrease. Why? Look. When you are stimulating these receptors, the touch and the pressure receptors, the afferent impulses are also carried towards the central nervous system in the spinal cord. Okay, in the spinal cord. Okay, so what happens here in the spinal cord? We have already discussed the dorsal column medial lemniscus pathway. The dorsal column medial lemniscus pathway. Okay, which types of sensation they carry? The touch, the pressure, the vibration, isn't it? So what were the nature of the fibers which they are carrying this sensation? They are largely myelinated. They were largely myelinated, plus the diameter was larger diameter. Okay, so A fibers. Again, here it is the slow pain which is carried by the C fibers and the fast pain via the A delta fibers. Okay, but depending upon the myelination and the speed, this A fibers, A alpha fibers, which are carrying this sensation, the touch, the pressure, the vibration, which are carried via the dorsal column medial lemniscus pathway, they were of high speed. The fibers of them were the largely myelinated fibers and the diameter were also large in comparison to the fibers which are carrying this pain sensation. Okay, so look here. When these afferent impulses are of the touch, the pressure, the vibration sense, it is coming towards the spinal cord, what they will do? Whether they terminate here? No. In the dorsal column medial lemniscus pathway, the central process of all these afferent impulses are going where? They are simply going to the dorsal white column and ascending upwards in the form of the dorsal column medial lemniscus pathway. Okay. Now what is the logic here? This is the gate. we are discussing the gate control theory. Okay, so what you will see, the action potential of the pain impulses, they are generated by the second order neuron here and they are moving upwards. This is the point. That means the first order neuron, when it synapses with the second order neuron, which is the substantia gelatinosa, there must be the inhibition here, so that the further transmission of the pain impulses, it is inhibited. So what happens? Look here. These first order neuron, which is carrying the touch, the vibration, the pressure sensation, going upwards via the dorsal column, what they do? There are maximum stimulation, we are stimulating in bulk the touch receptors, the pressure receptors. What they will do? They will give some collaterals to this area. Okay, to this area some collaterals will be given to these fibers. Okay, so what they will do? These collaterals, what they will do? They will synapse here again with the inhibitory neurons. Some inhibitory neurons, okay, inhibitory neurons which are present in this area. These collaterals of the dorsal column medial lemniscus pathway carrying the touch, pressure and the vibration sensation, what they will do? Via these collaterals, they will stimulate these inhibitory neurons here, which are present in the lamina, the posterior gray horn. Then what they will do? What the inhibitory interneuron in turn they will do? They will release a chemical. Okay. Now tell me whether the excitatory neurotransmitter is needed here or whether an inhibitory neurotransmitter will be needed. Of course, there will be the need of an inhibitory neurotransmitter. And what is that inhibitory neurotransmitter? That is the GABA. That is GABA. That means these inhibitory neurons, they will secrete GABA. And what this GABA will do? It is the inhibitory neurotransmitter. These GABA, whether they will act on the presynaptic or they will act postsynaptically. Isn't it? That means the pain fibers, the first order neuron, the central process which are bringing the pain sensation here, the terminal point of that, they will be inhibited, or once they synapse with the substantia gelatinosa, the cell bodies of that substantia gelatinosa will be inhibited. So the two places are there for the inhibition of this transmission, and they are done by the inhibitory neurons. That means via this dorsal column medial lemniscus pathway, whatever the impulses are transmitting above through this pathway, there are some collaterals given by these fibers to the substantia gelatinosa here, or you can say at the site of the synapse of the first order neuron with the second order neuron. Okay, so why these collaterals, they are stimulating some inhibitory interneurons which are present in this area. Okay, and those inhibitory interneurons, what they will do now? They will secrete the inhibitory neurotransmitter, which is the GABA. GABA is gamma aminobutyric acid. Okay, gamma aminobutyric acid. Okay, so this will inhibit the further transmission of the pain impulse, pain sensation from going downwards and moving upwards towards the cerebral cortex. And the site where it will be at the synaptic site of the first as well as the second order neuron. Then how it is fulfilling this gate control theory? That means when you are stimulating the touch receptors or the pressure receptors in any painful region, that means the touch and the pressure receptors, those pathways are taking the upper hand in comparison to the pain fibers at the same time. That means this pathway will come into action, and what they will do? They will inhibit the transmission of the pain impulses. That means there is only one through this gate. Where is the gate? Gate is present in the Rexed lamina 2, where the gate is closed for the transmission of pain once there is stimulation of the touch and the pressure receptors whenever you are rubbing or massaging the painful area. isn't it? So this is how the gate control theory works. That means there is a gate through which only the fibers of those, that is the touch, the pressure, the vibration sensation will move upwards via the dorsal column medial lemniscus, and what they will do at the same time? The same time they will give collaterals to that substantia gelatinosa, that is synaptic site of the pain fiber, pain sensation, and they will be inhibited. Okay, and so that the further transmission, that means pain is coming, still the pain sensation it is coming via the central process of this first order neuron. But what happens further? The transmission to the lateral spinothalamic tract, it is inhibited, so that the action potential will be decreased, isn't it? So this was the gate control theory. Okay, now come to the descending analgesic system. How this system works. Okay. That means in the gate control theory, the pathway which comes into the scene, that was what? Which pathway? That was the dorsal column medial lemniscus pathway, isn't it? So gate control theory, if you are asked in the objectives or the viva, suppose in the gate control theory, this theory, it is related with which pathway? Okay, then you will be able to say this is the dorsal column medial lemniscus pathway which comes here, takes the upper hand, inhibit the transmission of the pain sensation from moving upwards at the same time. So this was the gate control theory. Now come to the descending analgesic system. Okay. So what do we mean by this descending analgesic system? As the name suggests, descending analgesic system. That means there are certain structures, grey matter structures present in the brainstem or as well as the cerebral cortical area also, and the fibers which arises from them comes downward towards the central spinal cord, okay, and they will act over there. So this pathway, it is known as the descending analgesic system. By the descending pathway, this system tries to alleviate the pain sensation from moving upwards. Okay. Now come to the, what are those structures, the grey matter structures which participate in the descending analgesic system. So first is, look here, this is the thalamus. Okay, this is the thalamus, a paired thalamus, and in between the thalamus, in the thalamus is the part of the diencephalon, and the cavity which is present here, that is known as the third ventricle. Okay, so around that cavity, these dotted red dots are what? They are the grey matter collections which are present by the sides of this third ventricle. So those collections of the grey matter will be known as periventricular grey matter. Okay, PVG. Then comes the second one. This third ventricle is continued below in the midbrain in the form of aqueduct of Sylvius, or the, you can say, cerebral aqueduct, isn't it? So there are some collections of the grey matter around this aqueduct, cerebral aqueduct, and what is this collection known as periaqueductal grey matter. Periaqueductal grey matter. Okay. PAG. Okay. Then the another structures. This red color. Okay. What is this? This is the part of the reticular formation. This is known as the locus ceruleus, isn't it? The color of the locus ceruleus, it is bluish in color. It is present thus of the facial colliculus. Okay, you will see. And what is the importance of this locus coeruleus in this pathway descending analgesic system. The certain chemicals, the transmitters are liberated by this locus coeruleus, and that is rich in what? Norepinephrine, isn't it? So norepinephrine, this norepinephrine, it is secreted, released by this locus coeruleus. So third one is locus coeruleus. Then comes this red color structure in the midline of the brainstem. What it is? Again, this is the reticular formation. Reticular formation. We have already discussed the reticular formation. What to come? The neuronal complex here in the midline axis of the brainstem, midbrain pons and the medulla oblongata, and it is composed of different types of nucleus here. So reticular nuclei. So one of the reticular nuclei which are concerned with this descending analgesic system, it is known as what? Here, that is the gigantocellular reticular nuclei. So in turn we will write here the reticular nuclei. Okay, then another structure, another grey matter structure nucleus. What is this? This is the raphe nucleus magnus. What it is? The raphe nucleus magnus. So we are just saying that there are a list of the grey matter structures above downwards here. Look here. So these all structures are concerned with this descending analgesic system. That means all these structures will be related to control the pain sensation, decrease the intensity of pain. But how? Okay, we will see. Suppose this is the periventricular grey matter. Okay, the fibers, the descending fibers which are arising from them, moving downwards. Okay, they come downwards. Here it is what? Periaqueductal grey matter. Again the fibers which arises from the periaqueductal grey matter, they will come along with those fibers, and both of them unitely they will, what they will do? They will stimulate which area? They will stimulate this locus coeruleus here, isn't it? Locus coeruleus. Again the fibers descend downwards, the periaqueductal fibers which arises from the periaqueductal grey matter, they also stimulates what? The reticular formation here. Then they stimulate this locus coeruleus, as well as they also stimulate the structures which are present downward, that is the reticular formation. Okay, so again from this reticular nuclei, very specific nuclei which is known as the paragigantocellular reticular nuclei. Again the fibers will originate from them, comes downwards. Okay, now then the raphe nucleus magnus, the fibers which arises from this raphe nucleus magnus, they also come downwards. Okay, so all the fibers which are arising from this concerning grey matter, what? They are not going upwards, they are coming downwards towards the spinal cord, where there will be the transmission of the pain sensation in the spinal cord, the dorsal grey horn. Okay, that's why they are coming downwards. So we have seen that the locus coeruleus, what does it secretes? It is secreting norepinephrine. The locus coeruleus, it is very rich in the norepinephrine. Just like that, here when this reticular formation, this nucleus are stimulated by the descending fibers of the periaqueductal grey matter, what they actually liberates? This paragigantocellular reticular nuclei, what does it secretes? A very important chemical they liberate here, and that is the 5-hydroxytryptamine, or you can say the serotonin. Okay, Just like that, the locus coeruleus, it was secreting the chemical that is the norepinephrine. Here, the reticular nuclei as well as this raphe nucleus magnus also, they are also secreting the same chemical that is the serotonin here, isn't it? So, we are getting the two sets of chemical liberated by these descending fibers coming from the grey matter structures. One set is of norepinephrine and the another set is of the serotonin. Now, how these chemicals coming downwards and where they act, this we will see. Suppose look here, the pain sensation, the fibers carrying the pain, suppose fast, slow pain, okay, slow pain fibers coming towards the spinal cord. This is the pseudounipolar neuron, this is the peripheral process, and via the central process, the pain stimulation is coming towards the spinal cord, and what does it do? It again synapse with the substantia gelatinosa here, and the axons arising from them, it crosses the opposite side and move upwards in the form of the lateral spinothalamic tract. That we know. Now, the role of these descending fibers, how these descending fibers are controlling this pathway to alleviate the pain sensation, that is important, and that will fulfill the name, the descending analgesic system. Now you will see all these fibers when comes downwards. Look here, the fibers coming from the reticular nuclei, okay, they are coming here. Then the raphe nucleus magnus fibers, they are coming here, okay, in the dorsal gray horn, okay, and the fibers which are coming from the locus coeruleus, they are also coming downwards, and they are terminating where? In again the neurons, inhibitory neurons, interneurons, okay. These fibers, the red one, what does it contains? It is containing at this terminal end which chemical it will liberate? It will liberate the norepinephrine, okay, because it is coming from the locus coeruleus, and the locus coeruleus was rich in norepinephrine. Now these two fibers, black one and the blue one, the reticular from the black one and this blue one from the raphe nucleus magnus, both of them are secreting the chemical that is the 5-hydroxytryptamine or the serotonin. How this norepinephrine and the 5-hydroxytryptamine is doing its action here? Looks, when these fibers terminate synapse on the interneurons, when these interneurons are stimulated by the 5-hydroxytryptamine and the norepinephrine, okay, when these neurons are stimulated by these chemicals, what they will do? Again the point is here. Of course, these fibers, the descending fibers, they are releasing the chemicals in the posterior gray horn. They are synapsing with the interneuron, and that interneuron in turn, what they are secreting? They are secreting a chemical, a very important chemical, okay, which is known as the endogenous opioids. Endogenous opioids, okay. Now what are those endogenous opioids? Look here, these endogenous opioids are enkephalin, endorphin or dynorphin. So these chemicals are liberated by these interneurons, which in turn were stimulated by these descending fibers, okay. So what does this chemical do? These are the natural opioids. Natural or the endogenous opioids. The opioids means, suppose the morphine. In the patient with the pain, you give which drug? Morphine. So these chemicals, these endogenous opioids, these are the natural opioids, morphine-like chemicals, structures which are liberated inside our body at this very point by the stimulation of these interneurons via the descending fibers which are coming from those gray matter. Okay, so what this chemical will do? This chemical will inhibit these chemicals, natural opioids. What they will do? They will inhibit the transmission of the action potential of the pain sensation from moving upwards. That means again the action potential will decrease here, isn't it? So this was the pathway, descending pathway, which tries to decrease the severity of pain from going to the cerebral cortex, and again at this very point, at the level of the spinal cord. That means now you know that both the gate control theory as well as the descending analgesic system, both the levels of the theory, they are working inside the central nervous system, not outside the central nervous system. That means once the pain sensation will come towards the spinal cord, then only any theory will work, whether it is the gate control theory or the descending analgesic system. In the first theory, it was done by you. When you massage, you rub the painful area, you are stimulating what? You are stimulating this gate control. You are knocking the gate so that the gate should be closed for the pain sensation, but not for the touch and the pressure sensation. They should go so that they should give the collaterals to this point so that the GABA inhibits the transmission of the pain sensation there. Okay, so sometimes in the objective you are asked in the gate control theory via the dorsal column medial lemniscus pathway, which was the inhibitory factor here? That was the GABA. Okay, GABA, that means the inhibitory neurotransmitter it is, isn't it? It is an inhibitory neurotransmitter. So it inhibits the transmission at this very site, at the gate of that is the substantia gelatinosa. But here in the descending analgesic system, there is no excitatory or the inhibitory neurotransmitter. Rather, there is the release of certain chemicals which resembles the morphine-like, okay, opioids, and those are the natural opioids, the endogenous opioids which the body forms inside, and that relieves that inhibits the pain sensation transmission from this very part. Okay, the both theory works, both theory together tries to decrease the pain sensation. Now, the most important thing here, unless and until for this descending analgesic system, unless and until you are asked to do how this gray matters will fire downwards to decrease, to inhibit the action potential which are carrying the pain sensation. How it works, how they are giving fibers, how they are descending downwards. So there is one pathway here again. In the previous class we have seen there are so many connections of the pain pathway with the structures present inside the brainstem. Look here, what happens? Once the ascending fibers and of the anterolateral system, that means the pain fibers is moving upwards. These pain fibers or the lateral spinothalamic tract, they give collateral to some areas of the brainstem here, and they in turn fire, isn't it? There must be some connections. Some must be connections of these gray matter structures with the pain pathway. Then only this gray matter structure will be able to know I have to do something because the pain sensation, it is moving upwards. So there must be some connection. So what are those connections? Look here. This is the ascending pathway, that is the lateral spinothalamic tract. So via the spinomesencephalic tract, one of the component of the anterolateral system, that is the spinomesencephalic tract or fiber. So what does they do? These ascending tracts, ascending pathway, they give some collaterals here, where to the periaqueductal gray matter, and they are stimulated by the collaterals which are conveying from the fibers which are conveying the pain sensation. Okay, so in turn this periaqueductal gray matter now comes to know I have to fire down. I have to generate the action potential which is needed for the decreasing the sensation of the pain. Okay. Now, it is not only this periaqueductal gray matter or the periventricular gray matter. Some other structures are also present inside the cortical region. Okay, in the cerebral cortex itself. So, what are those areas? Look here. There are the cingulate gyrus. In the previous class, we have discussed some gray matter structures which are connected with the slow pain pathway, isn't it? That was the cingulate gyrus. Here it was the insular cortex. What is that? Insular cortex. Here it is the hypothalamus. Again it is the hypothalamus here. This is the cingulate gyrus, plus some sensory cortex of the brain. Sensory cortex. So, look here. This cingulate gyrus, the insular cortex, this hypothalamus, which are concerned with the different aspects of the pain, especially the slow pain. We have already described these things. So, when they come to know about the pain, what they will do? They will again give efferent to the periventricular, the periaqueductal gray matter. From all these areas, the stimulus are coming and towards the periaqueductal gray matter and the periventricular gray matter. That means these gray matter are stimulated. They are knowing, they are getting information from this area. Now you have to fire. You have to generate the action potential. Okay. So these are the areas from where they are getting information about the pain, and then they are doing the work via this descending analgesic system. Now, subsensory area, when this ultimately the pain sensation, it is reaching to the sensory cortex, somatosensory 1 and the 2, we have already discussed. Now, the sensory cortex has also got the capacity to give information to these areas. They will inform this gray matter, do something, we are in pain, isn't it? And now this pain, the list of these structures, the gray matter structures, they are activated by these connection, these collaterals, first by the spinomesencephalic tract, that means one of the component of the anterolateral system, that means some collaterals given to the periaqueductal gray matter, and they becomes activated here. Some information from the brain, that from these areas, cingulate gyrus, the insular cortex, the hypothalamus, as well as the sensory cortex itself, they will inform these structures, do something please, I need to get rid of the pain sensation. So then this area, this pathway will work like. So this was all about the pain modulation theory, which is very important. Once you know the pathway, you must know the pain modulation pathway also. That means it is a very beautiful inbuilt structure in our body, a pathway which in natural form it tries to decrease the pain sensation reaching to the cerebral cortex. Now here some important points which are related with the objectives here. Raphe nucleus magnus, it secretes what? Again it may be asked in the objective that it secretes 5-hydroxytryptamine or serotonin. So objective point of view, these things are very important. What are the natural opioids? If there is some other chemicals, so you will rule out. Natural opioids are these: enkephalin, endorphin, dynorphins. If they are morphine, you will see what are the question, then you will answer. The reticular nuclei, what does it secrete? Short notes on this: locus ceruleus, isn't it? Periaqueductal grey matter, isn't it? So this periaqueductal grey matter, it is very important here in the brainstem. This is here in this pathway, it is related in the pain modulation, but there are some other functions of this periaqueductal grey matter. It is also controlling the blood pressures of our body, in the bladder function, autonomic functions of the bladder, it participates. Plus the periaqueductal grey matter as well as the periventricular grey matter, they have also got the capacity to liberate the chemical, that these enkephalins and endorphins. Okay, plus the periaqueductal grey matter has got the opioid receptors over there. When you give the opioids from outside, they will activate this periaqueductal grey matter, that then they will be stimulated and they will fire. Okay, so that was all about the pain modulation theory. Okay, thank you.